In 21 days, I was in Kailash. I could barely speak. I took one strand of what is there on that mountain. You won't believe. I was almost 10 to 15 years younger.
Thousands of pilgrims are rushing to Tibet right now because a rare 60-year cycle has opened a spiritual door that was closed for a long time. Monks living in the shadows of the peaks are sharing stories of inner chambers that glow with a light not made by man.
Mount Kailash with an adversary. There's a mountain, and that is also one of the abodes. Like, we own different homes.
This is a key detail because these revelations happen just as new satellites caught images of things that should not exist on a natural mountain. Yeah, about that, means what they found inside defies logic and suggests the mountain might be a giant ancient tool. Ancient chambers found within sacred stone. Mount Kailash stands tall at 21,778 feet, and for a long time it was just a place for prayer. But recently, some Tibetan monks have started sharing things that sound like they come from a science fiction movie. They claim that the inside of the mountain is not just solid rock. Instead, they describe it as a series of rooms or spaces that hold energy. This is a key detail because many people used to think these were just myths, but now the monks are being very specific. They talk about the mountain core as a place where the rules of the world do not work the same way. The year 2026 is a firehorse year in the Tibetan calendar, which only happens once every 60 years. Monks say this special time makes the mountain act like a giant battery that is finally charging up. During this period, the energy around the peak is said to be 13 times stronger than usual. People visiting the site are reporting that they feel a strange buzz in the air, and get this, some say their watches stop working as they get closer. This has led to rumors that the mountain might be hollow. But here is the catch: it is not just a big empty cave. The monks describe it as a dimensional nexus. That is a fancy way of saying it is a spot where our world meets another one. Scientists have been looking at this too. Using high-tech tools from space, they found that the mountain is shaped like a near-perfect pyramid. It is not just a random pile of dirt and snow. The four sides of the mountain point almost exactly north, south, east, and west. That kind of precision is hard to find in nature. Some experts think the mountain was sculpted by someone or something a long time ago. The monks say they do not need tools to see inside. They use deep meditation to travel into the mountain's heart. They describe seeing huge chambers filled with light and ancient knowledge. Basically, they are saying that Mount Kailash is a giant library, or a storehouse for the secrets of the universe. This has caused a lot of drama because for a long time, these stories were kept secret. But now, with more people visiting Tibet than ever before, the monks feel it is time to tell the truth. They say the mountain is waking up in 2026. This is not just a spiritual idea because the physical signs are there too. People have noticed that the ice is melting in patterns that look like symbols, and that is putting it lightly because some explorers claim they have seen lights coming from the caves at night when no one is there. It makes you wonder if we are looking at a natural wonder or a piece of ancient technology. The crazy part is that even NASA has been watching this area closely. They have noticed that the ground moves in tiny ways that do not match normal earthquakes. It is like the mountain is breathing. Strange movements in the deep stone are just the start of this mystery. Sacred gateways, leading into mystery. For thousands of years, and 4 different religions have called Mount Kailash the center of the world. Hindus believe a great god lives at the top, while Buddhists see it as a giant map of the universe. This is important because all these different groups agree on one thing: you are not supposed to climb it. Hands down, it is one of the only mountains in the world that has never been climbed to the top. Every time someone tries, something goes wrong. High winds appear out of nowhere, or people get sick very fast. Monks say this is because the mountain protects itself. It is not just a rock, it is a living entity with its own mind. They believe that if you try to conquer it, the mountain will push you back. But if you walk around it with respect, it might show you its secrets. This walk is called a kora, and it covers about 32 miles of very rough ground. In 2026, doing this walk is considered the most important thing a person can do for their soul. C. The history of this place goes back over 30,000 years. Archaeologists have found ancient paintings in caves nearby that show people worshiping the mountain in the same way they do today. This tells us that whatever is inside Mount Kailash has been there for a very, very long time. The monks say that the mountain was placed there to act as an anchor for the earth. They describe it as a cosmic pole that keeps everything in balance. This might sound like a story, but think about it. The mountain is the source of 4 of the biggest rivers in Asia. These rivers travel thousands of miles and provide water for billions of people. Without this one mountain, life in a huge part of the world would be impossible. That is a lot of power for one peak to have. The monks also talk about hidden cities beneath the mountain. They call one of them Shambhala. They say it is a place where people live in peace and have mastered things we can only dream of. While many people think Shambhala is just a legend, the monks are very serious about it. They say it is not a place you can find with a map, but a place that opens up when you are ready. This ties back to the idea of the mountain being a gateway. If the mountain is hollow, as the monks claim, then those cities might actually be physically inside the stone. What most people do not realize is that the mountain's shape is part of the secret. The ancient texts call it a 9-story swastika mountain, which is a symbol of eternal life. It is not just a coincidence that the rocks are layered in a way that looks like stairs. Ancient stairways in the rock might lead to places no human has ever walked. Gravity glitches on high slopes. Scientists have tried to explain the weird things happening at Mount Kailash using physics, but they often walk away more confused than when they started. One of the most famous stories is about how time seems to move faster near the mountain. Travelers have reported that their hair and nails grow much quicker than normal when they are in the area. What takes weeks in the city happens in just a few hours here. Some people think this is because of the high altitude and the way the body reacts to less oxygen. But here is the catch. The growth is so fast that it defies simple biology. Yes, monks say this is because the mountain sits on a time fold. They believe the energy of the mountain speeds up the life cycle of everything around it. And get this, there is also evidence of strange radiation. In 2025, some researchers found that the rocks at the base of the mountain have higher levels of certain elements than they should. This radiation is not enough to hurt people, but it might be enough to change how cells work. This could be why people feel so much energy when they are there. Then there is the shape of the mountain itself. Many people are convinced it is a man-made pyramid. A group of Russian scientists went there in the 1990s and concluded that the mountain is actually a giant system of pyramids, with one big one in the center and smaller ones around it. They claimed that the mountain shows signs of being built or shaped by someone with very advanced tools. While many other scientists disagree and say it is just natural erosion, the precision of the angles is still hard to explain. Basically, if you look at the mountain from above, it looks like a giant mandala or a geometric pattern. The crazy part is that the mountain is exactly 6,638 meters high, which is about 21,778 feet. Some people have pointed out that the distance from the mountain to Stonehenge is exactly the same as the distance from the mountain to the North Pole. They also say it is twice that distance to the South Pole. It is like the mountain was placed in a very specific spot on the globe for a reason. The monks say that the builders of the mountain used the power of sound to shape the stone. They talk about ancient chants that could move rocks. This sounds wild. But modern science is starting to learn that sound waves can actually lift and move small objects. If the mountain is a giant sound machine, that could explain the low humming noise that many pilgrims report hearing. It is not just the wind, it is a deep vibrating sound that seems to come from deep underground. Deep vibrations from the core suggest something is still running inside the mountain. Eternal ice hiding final truths. The water that comes from Mount Kailash is some of the most important on the planet. 4 major rivers start right here: the Indus, the Brahmaputra, the Sutlej, and the Karnali. They all flow in different directions like spokes on a wheel. This is a huge deal because these rivers are the lifeblood of India, Pakistan, and China. Monks believe the water is sacred and has the power to heal. They say the mountain filters the water through its special chambers to give it life force. Science shows that the glaciers on the mountain are melting, which is a big worry for the future. But even with the melting, the water in the nearby Lake Manasaravar stays incredibly pure. This lake is fresh water, while right next to it is another lake called Rakshastal, which is salty and has no life in it. They are separated by only a thin strip of land. Monks say this represents the balance between good and evil. They believe the mountain controls the quality of the water in these lakes. In 2026, the water levels are being watched very closely by satellites. NASA's data shows that the ice on the peak is changing shape, but it is not just disappearing. It is shifting in a way that some experts find unusual. The monks say this is because the mountain is adjusting its energy. They talk about a hidden system of pipes or tunnels that move the water through the mountain. While no one has found physical pipes, the way the water emerges from the ground is very consistent. This mountain acts like a giant water tower for billions of people. If the monks are right and the mountain is a machine, then its job might be to manage the most important resource on Earth. Everyone is obsessed with the spiritual side, but the physical side of how this mountain works is just as amazing. So here is the deal. We have a mountain that looks like a pyramid, speeds up time, hums with sound, and manages the water for half of the world. It is hard to believe that is all just a coincidence. The monks say we are finally entering a time where we can understand these truths. They are not just stories to them, they are the facts of how the world works. As the year 2026 continues, we might see even more evidence of what is really inside Mount Kailash. The thing is, whether it is a portal, a pyramid, or just a very strange rock, it remains the greatest mystery of our time. It invites us to think bigger about what is possible on our planet. Do you think Mount Kailash is a natural mountain or an ancient piece of technology left behind? Tell me your thoughts in the comments, like this video, and subscribe for more mysteries.